Good morning, Abuja. It's yet another beautiful day here in the city of Abuja. Very windy, with very dry wind. I don't know how are you experiencing it from your ends. Are you having dry lips? Are your lips about to crack? Are you having to rush to the supermarket to get jellies, to get Vaselines and all of that, because it's quite an experience here. But it's a beautiful morning to be here in Abuja, and my name is Daniel Black. Welcome to Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow, which is a Media for Agriculture Development project of GSAI, Being Good for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative. And it's my pleasure to host you again today, Tuesday. We're going to be focusing on agricultural technologies that can be adapted and applied in Nigeria, and I'd say some very few private farmers have adapted it and are using it, and it is maximizing production. Remember that at GSAI, our major objective is to support rural farmers, support smallholder farmers to be able to adopt sustainable practices that maximize their yield and increase their economic status. So today we are going to be taking review of three technological advances. When I say technological advances, things that help the farmer do better, things that help the farmer harvest better, work easier, and of course get more profit. So on our first review today will be what we call the combined tractor. The combined tractor is a tractor. If once you see it, your first thought is that it's just a normal tractor, but it's a machine that is a combination of over 6 functionalities. These functionalities do the work that human beings, that normal rural farmers, smallholder farmers would have actually done over the years, over the days throughout their period. So the combined tractor does the job of harvesting, cleaning, threshing, and of course storage of grain materials. Now you find out that if you're a rural farmer or if you've been in the farm before, these processes I have mentioned are very tedious processes that can take up to a whole week to carry out. But with your combined tractor, in the space of one day, you can actually harvest over 3 hectares of farm. Right, so this is an advancement that rural farmers can come together. NGOs that are supporting rural farmers, or rural farmers that have cooperatives, can come together, assess this equipment. Yes, it is very expensive, but it is worth every penny. It is worth every amount of money you invest in it, because if farmers come together and are able to bring in their resources, or are able to get a bank to fund them to buy a combined tractor, they are able to do work faster. So a work that they usually used 1 month to handle, probably this group of farmers are jointly or cumulatively cultivating 10 hectares of crops. They can, as with combined tractor, harvest that 10 hectares in less than 2 days, and they would actually need more. They would actually be encouraged to plant more, which would support the food security system. So the combined tractor is a very, very, very useful tool for harvesting of grains, harvesting, cleaning, threshing, and storage, which goes into bagging and all of that. So the combined tractor is a very important agricultural technology. It is very easy to use. Once you are able to learn how to manipulate the tractor machine, you are able to carry it into the farm. One of the major, should I call it a disadvantage, is that it is very expensive, and secondly, it can only harvest very, very dry grains. So you have to leave your crops in the field to get very dry. But other than these two major impediments, I think the combined tractor is a very important tool that every group of farmers, every cluster of farmers, at least 100 farmers can come together to own one combined tractor and make very good use of it. We move on to the next. After the combined tractor, the next equipment that can come in very handy. Okay, this is not an equipment. This is more like a new trend, right? We call it hydroponics farming. Hydroponics farming is a system where we farm on water, just like you've seen the word hydro. So water is the base element, and then the necessary nutrients are fed into the water and crops are grown, mostly vegetable crops. And you see, hydroponics is a new system of farming that can be used, one, for its aesthetics, two, for its reduced land usage. You can use it in a very small space of land where you can have you can have something that you should normally plant on a hectare of land, you can plant it in one small room, in one 14 by 14 meter room. You see, so like I mentioned, there is a way, the base of every hydroponics, if you see, has water in it. They does not use soil. So you find out that if you are in a place that is waterlogged, if you are in a place that you do not have so much land, the land has been converted to real estate and other purposes, you can actually make use of hydroponics to farm. So people that complain, I don't have farm, I've cemented, I've locked up my whole compound, you can actually adopt mini hydroponics farm in your environment. These are technological advances, and it makes farming so easy, it makes farming so clean, it makes farming a bit neat and faster, because you there is a high rate of germination, there is a high rate of harvest, because you are providing the only necessary nutrients, because in the hydroponics you are given the full guidelines on the nutrients you are to provide for each crop. Each crop nutrient is known, unlike in the traditional farming where farmers just apply fertilizer randomly, blindly, with the hope that they've applied the best. But in the hydroponics farming, you only apply the necessary nutrients needed for the growth, and then that water is always circulating, is always moving, and they're always having fresh crops. So that is the second technological advancement we are reviewing, and we are believing that if house owners, even industrial farmers, commercial farmers adopt it, we will be able to produce more with little land and with little resources, because the whole hydroponic system is automated. You just sit in your house, apply the necessary nutrients at the point of application, and then you press a button, there is watering, the water circulates, the nutrients circulates, the lighting system is properly in place. So we'll move on to the third and last agricultural technology review that we are going to be reviewing, and this is very important because Nigeria actually needs the mass duplication of this third technological advancement. It is cold room storage. Cold room storage is very, very key for the processing and storage of post-harvest crops that you've harvested and probably not sold and not consumed immediately, need to be processed and stored in a form that keeps it in its original shape, keeps it in its original form. So large cold storage facilities are needed. In Nigeria, there is something we call abaje. Abaje are tomato or vegetable crops tomato crops that have been harvested, that have started to spoil, but they've not totally spoiled because of lack of storage, and then people still actually sell these. There are people that go to the market specifically to buy abaje because it's usually way cheaper. If we have cold storage systems, we will be able to preserve these, and actually even mobile cold storage system where we will be able to preserve fresh fruit crops and transport them from one location to the other, and they still remain fresh as if they were harvested just few minutes ago. So these will really save post-harvest losses, because you go to market and you see where people discard their tomatoes, their peppers, their fresh veggies that they bought because they can no longer take it back, or they sell it at way discounted prices. Large cold storage systems are advanced in technology where these things are stored at the temperature that can keep them. It's not your freezer. Do not say we can we can buy our freezer. The storage, the temperature, and the lighting system that are installed in these cold storage facilities are unique to the crops for which they are used for. So it is important that we are able to set this up. Government, NGOs, and cooperatives. I do not only, each time I call on support, I call on interventions, I do not only call government, because the private sector is also part of it. Cooperatives can also come together where they have large farms, they can set up cold storage facilities, and thank God for the advent of the solar power. They do not have to rely 100% on the national grid or on fossil diesel and generator and the likes. They can also install large cold storage systems that have solar powers. Now, these three technological advances are technological advances that we need in Nigeria to add to the ones we already have, and to add to others that we will review, to ensure that we are able to fight the food insecurity menace that is raising its head in Nigeria and in Africa. I'd like to know what you think about this. Follow us on our social media at GSA Initiative on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, and let us drop a comment on our social media and tell us what do you think about these three advancement, these three technological advancements, let us know if you think that there are things that can be used in Nigeria. Let us know if you think that they are actually practicable and applicable in Nigeria. Thank you for being thank you for watching today. Hope to see you in the next edition.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by